Today, we'll be learning about one of the weirdest SCPs that you guys have probably never heard of. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another SCP Reacts. Today, we'll be learning a little bit more about a Man Eating Bus SCP, better known as SCP-2086 Rerouting. That's an interesting name for an SCP.
A young woman on her way home is walking down a city street, and just like most nights, the downtown empties out after the working day ends, leaving the streets empty of both cars and pedestrians.
Ooh, spooky.
She hates when she has to close the shop and walk to her bus stop alone, and she is excited that in just another week, she will be starting a new job that's just around the corner from where she lives. She just has to get through these last few nights of being the last one at the store and having to walk home alone.
Okay, so she has headphones on, so she really can't, hear anything that's happening around her. She's all by herself. This is a disaster right now. You are pretty much not necessarily, asking for something weird to happen, but, you're not really super aware of your surroundings. There's nobody else to really look out for you, so something bad could definitely happen, and then you would have no idea, and nobody else would have any idea what happened to you. So, yeah, just make sure that you're, aware of your surroundings at all times, especially when you're alone walking in the middle of the city.
Her more immediate concern now, though, is that her music has stopped. The young woman takes her phone out to check it.
Oh no, the phone died.
She must have forgotten to plug in the charger.
What kind of phone is that?
Hates when she does that.
She's got that Nokia
She
brick.
has to spend the bus ride staring out the window at nothing. What was that? The woman looks up from her phone. Did she see someone? She turns around and sees something on the other side of the street. It's dark.
That's a
All
person?
she can make out is a big, shadowy figure.
Okay, if I
She
saw
doesn't
that,
stare
I
for
am
long,
booking
though.
it home,
Starts
boys.
to walk again, picking up her pace slightly. She can hear the sound of footsteps and glances over her shoulder.
Okay.
The person
I'm getting
across the
freaked
street
out
is
for
moving
her.
too, and they seem to be matching her pace.
Keep running.
avoiding any
Just run.
streetlights to
Just
remain in
run.
darkness. She
How?
starts to move a little
You can
quicker,
barely even see the person.
and so do they.
What?
The young woman grips the pepper spray in her
Oh,
pocket.
good. Okay, she's
She doesn't
prepared
know
for
what this
anything.
person is doing or what they want, but she's going to be ready for
Pepper
it.
spray him.
She keeps walking.
Shoot him in the
and
eye
glances over her
socket.
shoulder again. They're crossing the street towards her now. She ducks into an alley, and as soon as she's around the corner and out of sight, she starts
I'm
to
getting
run.
the EBGBs, boys. I
She
don't like
sprints
this.
through the
Yeah,
alley
run.
as fast as she
Get the
can.
flip out
She
of
looks
there.
behind her, frightened of what she might see, but no one is there. Maybe she was wrong, and they weren't following her. But she's not about to stop
I don't
running
know.
and
Trust
find
your
out.
gut, girly.
She emerges from the alley, still running as hard as she can. She reaches her bus stop and finally stops to catch her breath. She checks her watch. The bus should be pulling up right now, but it's nowhere to be seen. She looks around, and what she does see is the shadowy figure coming out of the alley.
Oh no,
It's
dude, I'm
coming
getting
straight towards
goosebumps.
She backs up into the bus stop and takes the pepper spray out of her pocket, her finger ready on the trigger.
Shoot.
The shadowy figure
Shoot
keeps
the
moving
man.
towards her.
Shoot
Suddenly,
him.
The dark street is lit up.
Whoa.
The woman looks behind her to see her savior.
Oh, it's the bus.
It's the bus.
Yes.
She turns back to see the shadowy figure retreating to the alley,
Okay, good.
as if the light is pushing it away. The
She's
woman
safe.
breathes a sigh of relief and finally lets some of the tension in her body release as the
Ooh,
bus
me
comes
too.
to a stop in front of her.
I was getting real worried for
The
this
door
random
swings open,
woman.
and the woman steps inside. "I've never been so happy to get on the bus," she says to the driver as she scans her transit card. The driver doesn't respond, though. In fact, he doesn't react to her at all. He just keeps staring straight ahead. The woman doesn't push it, though. She's just happy to be on the bus, even if it is completely empty. She heads to the back of the bus and takes a seat. As the bus
Okay, guys, I don't want to make any predictions too early, but I have a weird feeling that the person that was following her was a part of the SCP. Sometimes SCPs, they can have multiple parts to them, and I think this SCP might be one of them, where obviously we know that the bus is not a normal bus. It is a man-eating bus, or in this case, a woman-eating bus. But I think that dark, shadowy figure probably was something that's a part of the SCP that pushes people to get to the bus spot or to get to the bus stop and then get on the bus without even thinking twice about is this the right bus? Is this weird at all? So I would assume that they're probably working together, if I had to guess.
bus pulls away. She can almost swear she could see the shadowy figure standing in the alley, watching her. The bus
Maybe the
rumbles
shadow's a
along
good
the
guy?
empty city
I don't really
streets
know.
as the woman looks out the window and takes deep breaths, trying to calm herself after her harrowing ordeal. After a while, she notices that the bus doesn't seem to be stopping as much as it normally does, or at all for that matter. Did they change the route? Or did she get on the wrong bus?
Yes.
They are approaching her stop, though, so it
Hit
doesn't
the
matter.
emergency
She
brake.
reaches up to pull the cord. A bell chimes, and the stop requested light illuminates in the front of the bus. But the driver doesn't show any sign of stopping or even slowing down.
That's
She pulls
creepy.
the cord again, but
Especially
still
if
no
you're like the
reaction.
only one on the bus.
As she sees her building go by, she calls out, "Hey, this is my stop." But the driver doesn't acknowledge her at all. She stands up and walks to the front. "Didn't you hear me? This is my stop." Still no reaction from the driver. "Hey, I said..." She reaches out and grabs his shoulder, spinning him towards her.
Oh my
Find herself staring
god.
into the eyes of a fresh corpse.
What?
The woman screams and jumps back as the driver slumps forward towards her. She's terrified by the dead body, as well as the fact that the bus will crash. But when she looks at the steering wheel, she sees that it is continuing to move on
Okay,
its
that
own.
is some
The woman is in a
paranormal
full-blown
activity
panic
stuff
now.
going on
She
right now.
screams and pounds on the door, but it won't open. The engine roars
Oh my
as
gosh,
the bus
it's
starts
speeding
to
up.
pick up speed. She doesn't know what to
What-
do.
yeah,
Runs
what
to the
can
back
you
where
do?
She tries the rear door, but it doesn't budge
Oh,
either.
she is
The
trapped.
bus speeds up even more, whipping around corners and tossing her from side to side. She's thrown to the ground and hits her head. Her eyelids feel like they weigh 100 pounds, and she struggles to keep them open. She manages to stay awake, though, and as she looks up in a daze, staring at the ceiling of the bus, she can see a green gas
What?
emanating from the vents. It's the last thing she sees before her eyes close for good.
Oh my
The bus finally
gosh.
comes to a stop in a deserted area of the city. The vehicle raises slightly as one
What?
after another, each wheel
What?
appears to unfold,
What?
revealing them to be long, black, spindly
the
legs. The bus stands
the
up on these insectoid appendages as its roof splits into two
No.
massive wings. The bus then leaps up into the sky, spreading its wings, and flies off.
Okay, I don't think this could ever happen, but you gotta think, I don't know, natural selection and evolution could maybe one day make something like this. And I just don't want to live in that world where that's a possibility. That is insane. It is a ginormous bug that can fly, except it looks like a bus. What the flip? That is some seriously good camo.
To the night. How could this young woman have known that after escaping danger, that her rescuer would be something worse, much worse? Unfortunately for her, she had just willingly stepped onto an instance of SCP-2086, a deadly and terrifying anomaly that hides in plain sight as it stalks and hunts its human prey.
Oh, that is so creepy.
SCP-2086 is the designation the SCP Foundation has given to a species that appears to belong to the arthropod phylum, a group that also includes arachnids and crustaceans. These strange creatures
Gross.
differ from most of their lobster and spider brethren in that they make use of an advanced form of camouflage to move among modern society unseen. Adult SCP-2086 instances all resemble some sort of public transportation vehicle, with the exact make, model, year, and branding varying from instance to instance. SCP-2086
This kind of reminds me of like some of Trevor Henderson's creatures where like they are seemingly normal objects, like the train worm one, I'm pretty sure is one of them, but it seems like it's a normal train, but then out of nowhere it turns into something that is an absolute monster. So whoever made up this SCP, super creative idea. I'm hoping that something like this is not real, and I'm pretty sure that it's not, but you can never be too certain. But yeah, I just think that this is such a creative, cool idea that literally, obviously could never happen, right? But I mean, it is a really neat idea, and I do appreciate the thought of like a bus could be camouflaged as a giant creature. Especially because in nature, like all of the time, you see bugs specifically have really, really advanced forms of camouflage. And even like some bugs, like a stick bug, for instance, if it stays perfectly still, you would never know that it's a living insect. But then it starts to move around and then you can see its head. So honestly, like something like this, maybe eventually thousands of years in the future could happen. But for right now, I think we're safe.
instances move about the streets of our cities foraging for food, and at first glance, they are virtually indistinguishable from the standard transit vehicles they are mimicking. Close examination of them, though, will reveal that the steel, wood, plastic, and glass they are composed of aren't those materials at all, but a form of specialized chitin, which is the substance that makes up the hard exoskeleton
And your
of many
fingernails, I'm pretty
insects
sure.
and other arthropods. And that's not the only aspect of SCP-2086 that isn't actually what it appears to be. The wheels on the bus may go round and round,
wheels on the
but they
bus.
also are capable of unraveling into long, thin legs
I don't like that
create
sound.
A very imposing image
so
when
creepy.
SCP-2086 is standing up at its full height. The roof, too, is able to unfurl into a set of giant insectoid wings, and after leaping into the air with its powerful legs, the wings will spread, and the bus can take flight, which appears to be its preferred method of travel when it is not in its camouflaged hunting mode. Its headlights, too.
I'm just picturing, like, I'm out one night and I look up to the sky and I see a bus flying with giant spider legs. I would probably check myself into an insane asylum immediately.
Are an entirely biological mechanism consisting of 2 large bioluminescent optical organs similar to those possessed by SCP-015-IT and SCP-745.
That is creepy.
Dissections of SCP-2086 specimens have shown them to have an entire system of organs, including a heart, brain, and stomach, which are found beneath the flooring in the creature's interior chamber.
Stomach is the key word there. This thing has to eat in order to feed its stomach, and yeah, we know what it's eating.
SCP-2086 appendages are not just used for locomotion, though, and they have been observed as being able to use them for fine object manipulation. This fact was learned when they were observed building crude shelters from scrap materials at their nesting grounds. More on these nests and the terrifying events that take place there later. When SCP-2086 is not at its nest, it engages in its foraging behavior. Typically, an SCP-2086 instance will fly to the start of a route and begin driving along city streets, picking up human passengers who willingly enter the creature's inner chamber, thinking that it is a standard bus. Along with its exoskeleton closely resembling a real vehicle, SCP-2086 has one more particularly gruesome trick to fool would-be passengers into becoming its prey. A bus that drives itself would lead many to think twice about stepping on board, so SCP-2086 makes use of a decoy driver, which is actually a human corpse encased and preserved in a shellac-like substance.
Okay, that is probably the weirdest part of this entire thing. Like, it takes one victim and instead of consuming it, it literally puts it in the driver's seat. That is the smartest thing ever. I don't know how it does it, because technically, like, the inside of the bus is like the inside of the insect. So I don't know, like, how does it reach in or like put the human there? I don't really want to think about it too much because it kind of is going to creep me out, but it's weird to think that they're able to put one of the humans inside of them and then, like, you know, have it act like it's the driver of the bus. Weird
Smaller,
stuff.
fibrous appendages protrude from the front seat.
Oh, never mind. That's how it does it. Okay.
Hold it in place.
Okay.
Capable of manipulating the corpse.
I didn't need to know that.
Appearance of movement as it drives.
I really did not need to know that.
Once
That's okay.
SCP-2086 has gathered up what it considers to be enough victims, a number that appears to vary from instance to instance, it will release a noxious gas from its interior vents. The gas produces an effect in humans similar to chloroform, and everyone on board will be rendered unconscious.
It's almost like this SCP is, I don't know, like the human version of a Venus flytrap, where obviously a Venus flytrap is super intelligent in the way that it operates. It will attract a bug to go inside of it, and then it gets trapped in there, and then acid slowly dissolves it, and then it pretty much just like digests the bug. But this is basically the human version.
The creature, now filled with its prey, does not feed on the humans trapped inside it, though. Instead, it will take them to its nesting grounds, which is where the real horror begins.
Okay, it's gonna get
These
creepier?
nesting grounds
Really?
are most often localized in scrap and junkyards that have fallen into disuse or are completely abandoned. And it is in these nests that the juvenile instances of SCP-2086
There's baby?
are found. While
What? There's a
full-grown
baby
instance can
version.
weigh as much as 17,000 kilograms, which is the approximate curb weight of a normal bus. Extensive field research and observation into SCP-2086 has led to the identification of the smaller, juvenile instances, which are much smaller than their adult counterparts, weighing under 200 kilograms. But they don't stay this size for long. When an adult SCP-2086 arrives back at the nest with its interior chamber filled with human prey, it will open its doors and allow the juvenile members to enter inside of it so they can feed and grow.
No.
Once inside, a juvenile will remove a passenger from the bus and take them outside. The effects of the chloroform gas will often begin to wear off at this time, but by this point, it is already too late. The juvenile instance will then proceed to force the human into a hole located under their hood. This leads to a sort of digestive tract that connects to its inner chamber where the driver's seat is located.
This is getting a little
Small
too detailed for my
appendages
liking.
will then emerge from the seat and protrude into the prey's body, which hold them in place in the driver's seat and trap them there, while at the same time acting as feeding tubes, draining the blood from the now doomed passenger. Once the person has been completely drained of blood...
Did they really just put like a sippy straw sound effect? That's like a Capri Sun.
Tubes
What?
will begin secreting
That's
a saline
crazy.
solution as the internal compartment fills with a shellac-like substance.
Ew.
And the effects
Ew.
of both combine to effectively embalm
Ew.
and preserve the corpse, which will serve as its own decoy driver once it enters adulthood. And this process happens quite quickly. A newborn SCP-2086 will reach adulthood in just 1 week, provided that it has had
week?
access to nutrients, at which point it will begin searching for new sources of prey for its own offspring, of which it will likely have plenty. 2086 instances become capable of reproduction at 8 days, and females are able to produce up to 20 offspring, but their lives
That's
are quite
20
short,
too many.
with their entire life cycle usually lasting just 12 to 15
That's
days.
it?
Prior to feeding and beginning the process of becoming a full-size adult, juveniles will also leave the nest and will covertly move about the city, removing bus stop signposts and relocating them, often creating a route that leads back to its own nest. These are the routes that adult instances will then typically follow as they hunt for more prey to bring back to their colony. SCP-2086 instances have been found in metropolitan areas around the world, and news reports are closely monitored by the Foundation for missing persons that had recently used public transport, with Foundation field agents being dispatched to potential high-threat areas to investigate further. Any nests that are discovered have their locations condemned, if they weren't already, and demolished using chemical explosives.
Yes, explode the
Previously, an effort was
SCPs.
made to capture and contain live instances of SCP-2086.
I wonder how that went.
And currently, the Foundation has 5
Oh.
such specimens in its custody.
Oh,
that are
it's
stored
kinda
in a
cute how they're
converted
all
airplane
different.
hangar. Due to their short lifespans and high rate of reproduction, the amount of live specimens contained at any given time can vary widely, and will often depend on the number of available D-Class personnel who can serve as drivers. Terminated specimens are either destroyed or sent to a specialized cold storage container at a secure site for further biological research. SCP-2086 continues to be one of the most dangerous anomalies
It
for
seems
common
like it,
everyday
yeah.
users of public transport.
Because a lot of SCPs, like, you can look at it as, like, you know, Shy Guy or the hard to destroy reptile or the statue, and you look at it and you're like, okay, that is weird. My gut is telling me to stay away from that thing. But this one, you don't have that thought. You literally think it's a bus that you can get inside, and it tricks everybody. So that's definitely why this is one of the most dangerous SCPs of all time, and one of the weirdest ones that I have never heard of ever.